Wanda and I spent 3 days in Washington, D.C. on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Let me clarify that. Wanda spent some days in Washington, D.C., and I tagged along. No, just kidding. We were in it together. We were attending this is just extra, by the way, okay? Hope you don't mind some extra. We were attending a Values Voters Summit. What is that? It's basically people that, it was sponsored by the Family Research Council, which obviously is Christian, started by Focus on the Family and then kind of spun off on its own to become a voice of its own. And just a gathering of folks to say, where are we at as a nation? What do we need to be praying for? What do we need to be looking for? And so forth. And so for me, I'm sure Wanda has her own version, but for me, it was a time that I was able to step back and get perspective. You know, you can live on the ground and then get in an airplane or a balloon. I've never done a balloon yet, but I'd like to one day. I'm scared to death about skydiving. I'm not sure about that, but when you get up in the air, you climb a building or whatever, you get a different perspective, don't you? And I felt like that it pulled me out of the routine of what I do and what I listen to and who I hear, and just really brought me into a place of just an awakening. And part of it was disturbing. Part of what we heard was disturbing, but yet there was always hope that was given. And the tidbit I want to share with you this morning, it was really a phrase that came out of American history that was spoken by a gentleman in history. And the phrase was, if you can keep it. Who knows who spoke that? Oh my goodness. You guys are amazing. So what was the context of that phrase? The context of the phrase was, as I heard the story, again, you guys may have other elements that know the story, but those that were trying to decide what kind of government that the United States would have, these colonies would have, that they were in a room, and Benjamin Franklin walked out of that room after they had decided what kind of government would be for this new fledgling nation that started. And a lady asked him, what kind of government do we have, Mr. Franklin? Do we have a monarchy or do we have a republic? That was the question she asked. Do we have a monarchy, which is what they came from, or do we have a republic? And this was his answer. We have a republic if you can keep it. And that statement is still true today as it was when he first made it. Why did he say that? Because honestly, the government that was formed in America was an experiment that no other nation had ever tried. It was an experiment. And it still is. What does the phrase refer to, if you can keep it? Because those that framed the Constitution and started our country, they recognized that our government and how it functions and how it works would only work well if the people that lived in our nation had the right virtues. That's kind of an odd word for us today. I would call it values. In other words, you live what you believe. And they recognized, of all the choices of religions in the world, that the best environment that people would want to live in was an environment that came from Christian values. We can select a lot of different religions, and there's probably more being invented today. But the best values, the best environment that you would want to live in, they believed was a Christian environment. They believed that Christians made the best citizens. Is that true today? Should be. Sometimes we get public opinion that says it's not. So they believe that that in order for this to work, that we had to have the right virtues, and they only came from Christian faith. And as a result of that, we would be able to live in freedom. We could have the freedoms. We could be free to worship whoever and whatever that we wanted to. Nobody was being coerced into say, you must join this denomination or you must worship. People were free. People were free. And ladies and gentlemen, we have forces knocking on the door. They haven't got the door open yet, but they're knocking on the door to take that away. I'll just stop there. But you and I keep going. You and I have the privilege of voting and researching the candidates that go and make public policy. You and I can still participate in that. Obviously, we should pray. But praying doesn't vote. We do. Praying doesn't vote. We do. And we should pray. And many of you do pray. But we have to vote. And therefore, if we want our republic to continue the way it was designed, the way God blesses, then we have to research the candidates to say, do they hold the values and virtues that I do of the Bible? And then we go to the polls and we vote. And that's the way our republic will continue as the framers intended and as God designed. And if we give up our responsibility to research our candidates and not vote, we will lose our republic. It's a sobering message, but it's real. All right, that's it. More to come. Amen.